From a technology point of view, when we look back at the last maybe 12, 18 months, there's a couple of themes that we've observed. Be interested in your feedback. First of which is that the requirements or interest in being able to transact online, so have booking engines and be able to sell travel online, the interest in that and the need for that seems to have diminished somewhat within the medium-sized travel agency tour operator space. Interested in your feedback on that. As I mentioned earlier, what has really seen a sharp increase, however, is CRM, engaging with customers, providing personalized or more personalized direct marketing, being able to discussing with engaging with the customer through whatever channel it might be, by the website, by a call center in a retail shop, having a single customer view and being able to talk to that customer consistently across all those channels. That's definitely gained a lot more traction. There's a lot more interest from a technology point of view in those sorts of systems or requirements for systems. And finally, the NDC, which is the initiative driven by the airlines to allow for easier merchandising and picking apart their fares, has got a lot of airtime over the last 12 months, 18 months. In parallel, the GDSs are also getting out there and making lots of noise about how they're enhancing their GDS offerings to support airline merchandising. And there's an ongoing tussle between GDSs and the airlines behind NDC. The reality is it's created lots of noise and challenges in the short term from a technology perspective, because the vision of where NDC and where the GDSs want to get to is one thing. What's actually practically available today is quite another. So we know British Airways has gone around and has really been pushing NDC quite hard with certain travel businesses, and yet the infrastructure sitting around it isn't quite ready to fully support it. So that's one we're keeping an eye on to see how that progresses. So that's one to keep an eye on. From a customer point of view, the last time we caught up with our customers, as I said, up in Manchester a few months back, the feedback we got was that first half of 2016 actually was really quite a strong year for most of the customers we spoke to. There was an observation, however, that the luxury travel sector, luxury tour operation sector of the market was getting more crowded. A lot of travel businesses moving into that space, so it was becoming more difficult to achieve the growth and the margins that had been enjoyed in years prior. So that's the first half of 2016. Now that we have everybody here, I thought I'd pose a couple of questions. Clearly, the whole Brexit trumpet, whatever we call it, and the knock-on effects with currency volatility and exchange rates are game changers to some extent or another. As I mentioned earlier, we haven't necessarily seen a cataclysmic outcome following Brexit, but there's a heck of a lot of uncertainty and currencies all over the place. So I'm keen to understand from you guys, what are your views? Firstly, how has 2016 been first half and since Brexit, and what do you think about the future? What have we got ahead of us?
Second half's been great for us, actually.
Good.
Post Brexit and Trump, bizarrely.
Okay. And which sectors do you?
So we're cruise.
Okay.
Luxury cruise.
Yeah.
So it would appear, that the high net revenue people are still out there, and actually they're a bit wary after the first sort of couple of weeks or so, but it's completely picked up, and we've done amazingly.
Really? Well, yeah. Brilliant. So they're getting on ships rather than going to America, maybe.
Exactly.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
That, or you have a very large Islamic customer base in the US is out of the question.
Exactly.
Or Mexican, or virtually any other nationality. So,
Yeah.
sorry, you can probably see where my
goes. Yeah.
Right. Any other comments, feedback?
It's interesting that Brexit hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
So
very good point.
Just before the storm, really.
Absolutely right. So
volatile is the word I would try.
Yes, and a lot of the posturing and positioning immediately after the referendum, and actually where the government is going now and softening on so many of the hard line. So who knows what Brexit's actually going to mean in real terms. But I absolutely agree with you. It's like rabbits in headlights pre-referendum. Referendum happened, looked around, nothing really changed, big sigh of relief, but potentially the tidal wave is actually going to follow the earthquake, or the tsunamis follow the earthquake. Any other observations?
Our American business tends to go in sort of 3-year cycles anyway.
Okay.
But post-Trump, we've just seen decisions are just not being made. They just don't know what they want to do yet.
Yeah.
So we're just in a waiting game, which
Yeah.
just delays that contract signing, and it's quite long term anyway, but it's just delaying it.
Yeah.
So it is just a wait and see, and we just have to ride it.
So have you seen that is this really related to forward bookings?
This is going much more forward. I mean, in terms
yeah.
of 2016, for us, that's happened already, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, we have lots of different parts of our business that get affected in different ways, but professional musicians need to travel anyway, because otherwise they don't get paid. So that travelling has already happened. Those tours are already booked for this year.
Right.
It's moving forward. People are just
where are they going
not
to?
quite
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
We're having to just be patient, really.
And from a currency perspective, an exchange rate, sterling exchange rate, has that had any particular significant impact on people, or is it back to your point that certainly luxury, high net worth individuals are still prepared to spend the money?
It has affected our business a little bit, particularly with the repeat clients that have, sort of in autumn 2015, they booked for their summer holidays this year. They've now come back booking for next year. That's where the big price difference is, and they're thinking, well, we're not getting great value for money anymore. So it's kind of that scenario. So it's making things harder to convert the bookings, definitely, on the exchange.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily lowering their aspirations. They're looking at it and saying, this isn't as good value as it was, and therefore I may think completely differently.
Because some holidays, it's costing like £1,000 more.
Yeah.
In many cases, and a lot more. So simply because of the exchange.
Okay. Yeah, Roberta?
In terms of business travel, like the more kind of booked more closer to the departure date type of normal trade travel business, have you noticed any impact in the kind of after Brexit? I know there was a couple of customers that told me about a little bit of a slowdown in kind of approaching, but and after, have you noticed anything or not really?
It's a big increase of last minute bookings.
Increase of last minute?
Yeah, absolutely. People who normally would book 3 or 4 months ahead are booking to do massive trips a week beforehand.
Yeah.
That's new. Not seen that before. It's just people waiting.
Yeah.
Other thing I've seen a big increase in is bigger European market. It's increased because the pound and the euro has become a lot cheaper to buy in London. So that'd be quite good. It's an upside.
And travel spend from corporations, is that being affected? No.
We're 25% up, I think, on turnover, but only about 15% up on revenue. So squeeze on margins. A couple of customers delaying projects abroad, and we trade with several European countries, so it's actually in our favour, if you like.
Yes,
to some
that's
extent.
true.
So no perceptible difference in trade as a result of the political goings on. I think the biggest change is customers are still spending, but margins are squeezed.
Yeah.
And so therefore we have to be far more efficient. And that's the focus. And that's where Dolphin has a massive part to play, making us far more efficient, less touch. I disagree with the online bit. I mean, we're finding that's up, but the challenge with it is making it do what people want to be able to do online, and
so to be corporate self-booking is gaining
and
traction.
aggregating all of the various places where you can buy into a single sort of place, because the internet still remains a competitive element. But for us, it's about getting more. We want more online, but we want it managed better. So there are things that are coming down the track with that, especially on the Amadeus side of life. They've taken over Sidetrick, which would be a massive influence on us for sure. But yeah, for us, turnover up, margin down.
Yeah.
So we have to be far more efficient to be able to serve the client, run a lot faster, and keep our costs the same, basically.
And are you when it comes to the non-air side of corporate travel, are you looking outside of GDS?
Non-air side has probably, for us, it's more than doubled. hotels.
And these are outside of GDS or?
Outside of GDS,
yeah.
But we still have to get it into the GDS to get it into Dolphin. So passive sectors, etc., within the GDS is a big issue. And for us, for corporates anyway, it's far less about the transaction as such. For us now, it's about visibility, it's about control, it's about content, it's about payment. We pay virtually everything for customers now.
Yeah.
So the confirmer side of life and everything, and how that interacts with Dolphin is massive.
Okay.
So that's where we sit. Less about the cost of the ticket, and nobody really cares anymore. It's everything to do with
the operational kind of activity around.
And it's all about the traveller, me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Well, thank you for that. So it's encouraging to hear that although there's been some impact with the exchange rates, that by and large businesses are still tracking along reasonably well. Some doing very well in 2016. That's reasonably consistent with what we've heard elsewhere. Last thing in the kind of opening intro section was just a quick single slide on the customer satisfaction survey. We sent out the satisfaction survey, which we do every year, customer satisfaction survey, which was sent out back in June. Had 47 of our customers respond and give us feedback, which is fantastic. How many of you guys received filled out the satisfaction survey? Yeah, so probably at least half, which is great because we're it's something we take seriously. We look at it every year. We do it every year religiously because it's the best way we see to be able to ensure that we are keeping our eye on the ball, paying attention to what really matters, and that is looking after our existing customers. Carolyn from See the World was the one who won. We offer a Samsung tablet to a lucky winner. So See the World secured that. And the top level results, I'm not going to go through the 30 or so questions and ad nauseum. That's probably not what we're here for. But was a couple of things. What generally speaking, our metrics remained constant or improved in most cases, which is really encouraging. Most significant perhaps is the overall satisfaction level, this is showing us the last 4 years, and you can see we had a stiff decline in overall satisfaction levels a couple of years ago, and in 2015 we started our process re-engineering, and that was partly because of this. This is what we looked at and said, we need to do something here, we need to get better at looking after customers, and we've seen a steady increase, and so we're now back up into the 91% top 2 box satisfaction level, which is again is a really important metric for us. What we've not done so well over the past 12 months is in timeliness of response. So for those of you who didn't see the survey, there's a number of questions. We ask for overall satisfaction, and then we ask for assessment on specific aspects of our service. Timeliness of response is something that's fallen, and that's something we need to work on. Clearly, we want to get this number up to here, and we think the best way to do that is to deal with the more detailed metric that's gone the wrong way. So part of our ongoing looking at our business processes, and this specifically around the support function, will be looking at how we get back to customers more quickly with an accurate answer. So it's given us something to work on, which is why we do these surveys. But generally speaking, we're really pleased to see that we're getting back to where we wanted to be in terms of overall satisfaction level. And I would close to say that when we send out the next survey, which will be around May, June next year, please everybody, do respond to that. We look at every single response individually, and if there's any specific feedback on there, we'll deal with that feedback directly. But for us as a business, it's a vital metric that we take very seriously, as I say.